All right, so welcome back to another day in the evolution of a multifamily investor. Super excited to have Frank Cupersmith with us today. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Hey Jason, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So Frank's got a great story. He's got a great background. We're going to dive in a lot about what he's done, even today, moving from a W-2 into a full-time investor here, how he's worked property management, how he's now currently investing into assets that are out of state. And Frank, thanks for joining us. Dive in. Give us a little background on who you are and what's led you down the path to where you are today.
Sure. Uh, well, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm originally from LA. Moved to Minnesota to go to school. Met my wife here, and decided this is where we're gonna raise our kids and live. And I was working a W-2 job, and I was working in sales with a trash company, and I met a lot of real estate investors, and specifically multifamily investors. And there was one guy who one day said, he goes, "You have what it takes to be successful, but you'll never get where you want to go financially working a W-2 job for somebody else." He goes, "And I'm willing to mentor you." And I
Wow.
had the blessing of someone who said, I'm gonna help you out, some generosity there. And he did. He helped me buy my first duplex and taught me. He was 27 years old, lived in a multi-million dollar house, driving a convertible Porsche, and he had no reason whatsoever to help me, and decided to help me. And that started my journey down multifamily or investing, duplexes and those kind of things. That was back in 2002,
Wow.
so a while ago. And I've kind of been on this multi-family investing, single family flips. Kind of done it all, a little bit of everything. I started my own real estate brokerage. Then the recession hit, and everybody kind of lost their businesses at that point. And I got into property management after the recession. And I knew that W-2 wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I knew real estate's where my passion is, but it kind of was a combination of the two. I was able to work my way up in an association, HOA association management company that also managed some rental properties. I broke off from that, started my own property management company. We've grown like crazy, one of the fastest growing management companies in the country. But at the same time, I still was been drawn to investing, and I knew that multifamily investing is where I wanted to be, not just single house flips and not just wholesaling or hoteling or selling real estate, any of that. I knew multifamily was where I was going to be, or where I wanted to be. And I knew I was winding down my role in the property management company. It was never a plan of mine to be in it really long term. My business partner bought me out. He asked me to stay on for a couple of years to work in the company. But at the same time, I got an email from Bill Allen that said, "Hey, got these two really good friends who are into multifamily investing. They're doing a intro conference to Multifamily Live. This was last probably April of 2021."
Yep.
And I
I'm
said, and I happened to be on a drive from Fargo, North Dakota to Minneapolis, 3.5 hour drive. And so I joined the conference via the car, driving down from Fargo. And I got super excited about Jason and Peely. And I was like, they've got what I want. They're doing what I want to do. I've got to go to Multifamily Live, and I've got to learn about multifamily investing.
And now we're coming up on the better part of a year here, leading us into this weekend where we have multifamily live in person here in Nashville, right? And so,
Yep.
proof case, which is really interesting. You talk about this 27-year-old back in 2002, right? He's doing it, right? And he sees in you someone who's willing to learn and wants to take effort, and he provides that feedback, and you see that it's being accomplished, right? And that gives you the power in mentally or in physically every other part to know that it's possible out there, right? And now
Yep.
leading through
Absolutely.
today, we're surrounded by so many great people here at Seven Figure Multifamily, so many great other people, and you've done a ton this year. So how has the last year looked since being here in Seven Figure Multifamily? What have been some of the great things that have grown from having so many like-minded people within the group?
What has surprised me most has been the journey. And it one step, leads to another step, which leads to another step. I kind of expected to just jump in. I'd get some information from you, and a month later, I'd have my first building, and I'd be off to the races. And that's way further from the truth than I would have ever imagined. And it really does need to build on it. There's building blocks and there's foundations, and you can't really build a company if you don't have the proper foundation. And I'll be honest with you, it goes back to even multifamily live, and you guys did a really good job of talking about limiting beliefs and don't limit yourself and don't limit what you think you can do. And I didn't realize until the time that I had a lot of those limiting beliefs and didn't believe in myself or didn't have the confidence. And I'll tell you, Peely's the best at that. She's like gives you this virtual hug and like you can do it. And it made a huge difference for me. I bet, without that first step, that first building block, I don't think I could have done it. It gave me, it made me work through some of those beliefs that I had that I couldn't do it. And once I got through that, it was off to the races. In a way that wasn't. I didn't have my first building after a month, but I was learning and I was building. And the next step after that was, it's just action breeds action. And so without action, you're not going to get to step three. And so it's just making calls and doing the work and the grind. There's a grind of it. It's not. If it was easy, everybody would do it, and everybody would have apartment buildings, and everybody would have real estate, and that's. And so it was just action breeds action. And so I took that to heart, and I just started, breeding that. It was just action. I left one of our conferences saying, I'm going to get some LOIs out there. I'm just going to do it. And I had an LOI signed within 2 weeks of leaving that conference because I was moving to action. I was moving to action. And
and the cool thing there is that you're right? We don't realize we have these limiting beliefs until they're put in front of us. And it's like, wow, yeah, I have that, right? And even in apartment investing, we hear the narrative a lot. Well, I just kind of want to dip my toe and I'll start small, right? But when you start to just uncover and discover all the advantages to going after larger size buildings, to a building sort of part here, and just all the advantages to not do a duplex and maybe do a 10 unit or do a 10 unit, do a 50 unit, right? Of how it gives you more opportunity, right? It allows you to say, oh, okay, I can put real proof, real use case to what I'm doing here, which can be incredible, right? And so when you look at what you've done and just finding partnership, finding team, and just saying, I'm going to do this. And the bigger part is just going and do it, right? And when you see other people just doing it, right? I'm going to do this. And we have the accountability groups where everyone gets together and says, this is what I am going to do, right? And then we hold ourselves, but we hold others accountable, right? And it can bring the best out of us that is within all of us. But sometimes we just need it to be uncovered, right? So talk to us about some of the assets that you found, some of the buildings, that you've now either are under contract or purchased.
So it started in last November. I got under contract a 12-unit building in Bradenton, Florida. It's an area I'm familiar with, and I have some VRBOs down there, and so I thought it'd be a great area to get into. One of the things I've learned over the last year is just the due diligence process. It's real, and if you don't put your time in there and buy the wrong deal, it can really set you back for many, many years, if not almost permanently. And so really put the effort into the due diligence period. And the last step I had was to get in front of the county to find out, hey, if I wanted, it was a big lot and I wanted to add on. And so I went down to the county. It's like, what do I need to do to add more units to this property? And they said, not only can you not add more units to it, if something happens to any of those buildings, we're not going to let you rebuild on that property. This is zoned in a way that we don't want this building. We don't want these units here. We want to subtract units from it. So it would put me at a big risk. And had I not gone down there and checked on that and looked into what I thought was going to be a plus, turned out to be a huge minus. And wow. And I tried to renegotiate with the owner, and he wasn't interested in that at that point, and which was fine. I mean, at that point I moved on. I was like, I knew that this wasn't going to be the right deal for me, but the experience I learned was incredible. And going into this last June, I thought I would buy a 5 to 10 unit building, and that would be a big move for me. Then I bought a 12 unit, and now I'm at the point where if I don't see a 40 to 50 to maybe 100 unit building, I would it's kind of small, and I want to look at the bigger ones, because the next step in the evolution for me was not only action breeds action, but it's the team you put around yourself is what really makes it happen. And we had this room full of people, and I was sitting there thinking, we're all kind of in these silos doing it individually, and I'm like, we need to do this together. We have incredible talent here. We've all learned these things separately, you know, kind of like toddlers playing side by side. But if we can put together a team and get this moving together, I mean, that's, you know, we talked about rising tides. You know, everybody kind of moves up together. And so I just, you know, there's some people I've developed relationships with over the last year, and a couple of those guys, we really connected, and we started meeting every Thursday morning at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. depending on what time zone we're in. And I travel a lot for work, so it's usually I'm in a different hotel room 2 out of 3 out of the weeks of the month. But we meet regularly every single week, and we're committed to each other, and we're committed to the process, and we're committed to what happens. And sure enough, we put a 52 unit building in Greenville, North Carolina under contract, you know, several weeks ago. And we've been through due diligence, and it's moving forward. We're raising capital now, and super excited about it. It's just going, you know, way better than I would have ever guessed. And, you know, one of the limiting beliefs I had is I could never ask any of my friends or you know, people I know in my network for money. Well, last weekend I just kind of got on the phone and, you know, raised $435,000 in 2 hours.
Wow.
And, and so it's, you know, again, a limiting belief that I broke through, realized that it wasn't true, and that I could do it, and now there's proof in, you know, in that.
You know, that's so incredible. And you think about it, right? So the deal you don't do, right? Sometimes it can be the best deal that we do is the deal we don't do, right? But the lessons you learn from that, you carry forward into everything you're doing now, right? The 12 unit, the 52 unit, right? And it all carries forward to build you. And just the team itself, right? When you surround yourself with so many other people, is that we all have our strengths, and sometimes we battle ourselves to try to do our weaknesses too. But when you can buy large apartment buildings, you can do it as a team, right? It's a big thing. It's a big asset. There's a lot to go around. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and when you can put everybody in their power positions that we can all accomplish this together, right, it leads us quicker to our goals. Because could we buy our first building in the first month? Yeah, probably, but it probably won't be exactly what we want, right? And we're going to be into this asset for years. Typically, we're lining these up for years, so we want to find these tools and use the tools to buy the best asset, not only for us, but also for our investors. So well done, right? You tell yourself you can't raise money, and there we go. A couple conversations, you got over 400K, right? It just shows that yes, I can. I just have to try. I just have to go out and put the effort out there, right?
So absolutely.
Good. So a couple things. How did you find that property?
You know, it's just one of my partners. He has another building in the area, and he's been just connecting with people, you know, wholesalers, brokers, everybody in that city, and he's kind of become the go-to guy for a lot of those guys, because they know that he can get to the deal to close, and that's what they all want, is someone who can bring the deal to close. And
that's incredible, right? Put yourself in position where you can come in there. You have the construction experience, the asset management experience. It shows the capital experience now, right? You're building all these experiences to go forward. So, and I'm excited to see where else we go, right?
That'll be my role going forward. Is, you know, asset management is what I literally do for a living. You know, our company literally started with zero, and now we manage, you know, well over $200 million in assets and $40 million in cash reserves, and so I can bring that experience to the table, and you know, in this industry, in this business.
Yeah, so incredible. Well, Frank, so well done. Can't wait to see you in a few days here. Can't wait to see what's next, because I know it's coming quick here. So for everyone listening who wants to learn more about you, what you're doing, what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh, email is frank@cudacap.com. Cuda Capital, but it's frank@cudacap.com. Or they can just reach out to me via my cell phone, 612-250-8596.
That's amazing. And Cuda, spell Cuda?
CUDA.
CUDACAP.com. That's what Frank at CUDA, right? CAP.com. I got that right?
Yep.
Perfect.
You got it.
Perfect. Power through right there. Frank, thank you, man. Thank you for all you're doing. We're so excited to have you as part of the community here, and just all the value you bring to it, and just seeing everybody just doing what we started out with, saying that we are going to do this together, right? And you're going to bring your powers. Everybody's going to bring their superpowers. Everybody's going to find their way, and the power of the partnerships just to see the proof case, right? See it all. And now here we are, a year coming into now, the year full of seven-figure multifamily, and just having the second multifamily live. I just couldn't be more just blessed to be where we stand today. So thank you so much for being a part of everything. Thank you to all of you listening with us today for another evolution of a multifamily investor with Frank Cupersmith. Bye now.
Right.